This is the K95 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by the Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K95 Sports Show podcast. My name is Beau. I am your host. As usual, if you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button. Right next to it is the bell button. If you're on your cell phone, hit that, and that gives you push notifications every week when new episodes drop on Wednesday morning. Also, thank you to the Fan Zone for sponsoring us. We appreciate them doing that. Get into the Candy Mall and check them out. Also, please, if you like it, give a thumbs up. If you want to comment on anything that we have said, you disagree with us, anything like that, leave it in the comments below, and we can go back and forth a little bit. Also, I'd like to mention that with the free agency, if there's, this is recorded Tuesday night at 5 p.m. If there is any new big signings or big changes with the Vikings, I will jump on for about 5 minutes or so. Maybe drag Jeremy from the front office in, and we'll just talk a quick few minutes about what happened. So check out other videos, smaller videos that might be coming up later on this week. Also, I'll be I'm excited to announce that I'll be giving away some Twins tickets here in a couple weeks. 2 weeks from this week's episode is going to be the season preview for the Minnesota Twins. So I'll be giving away tickets to the Sunday, April 14th game against the Detroit Tigers. It'll be on the Budweiser roof deck. So I'm not sure how we're going to give them away yet, but I will announce that here in a couple of weeks. On that episode, so make sure you listen to the season preview of the Minnesota Twins coming up here in 2 weeks. So we'll go ahead and get into the Vikings Free Agency. I brought in aforementioned Jeremy Goulet to talk today. How are you doing today, Jeremy?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Hey, not too shabby. Just ready to talk some Vikings Free Agency. That's what I love about football, man. It's never really off season.
No, and it's really, that's the odd thing though. It's for a lot of the stuff that I've been looking through, the Vikings just it feels like we're doing nothing. Everybody seems to be just swooping and doing moves and shaking and baking, and we're just kind of like
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it was huge. I mean, we did get to. Well, we're going to get to that, I guess. Yet.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's start from the beginning. Remmers and Sendejo released. Zero surprise on my side.
Yeah, I didn't see. I know Remmers. He didn't pass his physical. So
yeah, I think that's what they said.
So, but I don't know about Sendejo. But and who knows either if that's like
that might be just the excuse,
right? Just to be like, yeah, we're gonna let it be over with. But
yeah, you got to write a reason for releasing. You're like physical.
Yeah.
So like I said, no surprises there. We knew that was going to happen. Let's jump into the next one here, and we'll talk actually about the change. I had this itinerary changed from this morning, and now it's talking a little differently because what happened with Barr. On Monday night, they talked about Barr signing with the Jets. Didn't surprise me. I was expecting him gone.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, around lunchtime on Tuesday, Barr basically gave a middle finger to the Jets, kind of like Cousins did last year.
Yeah. Well, and they were talking on NFL.com earlier that a source close to Barr had said on Monday night he was physically ill, like he did not want to go to the Jets.
Damn.
So I mean,
that's what I'd get too if I was going to the Jets.
Well, and I mean, and that was so he just, I guess right away he got on the horn. This morning with the Vikings, and they said they just hammered down until they had a deal figured out. So
it's a 5-year, $67.5 million. It's $13.5 million per year. He gets 33 guaranteed, but he's got another $10 million incentives added on.
Oh.
I'm sure there's Pro Bowls. I'm sure there's tackles.
Sure.
So I think that was key for him because in past episodes I compared him to Andrew Wiggins, just kind of the Andrew Wiggins of the Vikings because he kind of coasts some game. He's got so much raw athletic talent that he relies on it too much, and he doesn't give 100%. I feel sometimes, and Zimmer has called him out for that in the past. But so. I don't know what to think about it. It's obviously now because of that, we're not going to make any kind of a huge free agent offensive line signing. I think now because of signing Barr that we are now going to look at the draft and that first round pick. Maybe they're talking behind and Zimmer's like, I want Barr, and Spielman's like, no, we need an offensive lineman. Oh, I want Barr. Well, how about I get Barr and you can guarantee an offensive lineman as a first pick. Otherwise, I'm going to fight you for a defensive man.
And that could very well, because I mean, we all know Zimmer, that he's a defensive man. I mean, that's he like when obviously I was watching some of the highlights from this last season, and Barr, he it's just like you said, raw physical activity. I mean, he just got his talent like coming out, and it's just so it looks at sometimes. It's almost like he just kind of dogs it a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, let's get back into it. But
Yep.
I'm overall, I'm happy to see him stay. But like I did think
I like the guy.
Yeah.
I like the guy, and I think he was a solid talent. And with the defense is playing so much nickel now, anyways. We need I need somebody who can cover people out in space, and he can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, obviously not the Rams.
I would say except
Obviously
against like
not the Rams
Cooper
game.
Cup, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But were you kind of surprised to see Richardson go?
Not really. With Richardson, I knew we couldn't afford him, and that ended up happening true because I mean we paid him $8 million this year, and last week on the episode when I was talking that I would expect him to sign for $8 to $10 million, he signed for 13.
Yeah.
$13 million.
Well, and the way he started the season for us last year, he was a beast. And then, but he kind of petered out there at the, he
did.
So
it just showed the Browns overpaid.
I think they did too.
The Browns are browning themselves. I mean, they've got so much cap room that they're all willy-nilly spending it, and it might help them get good for maybe a couple of years, but they're going to be running into some money problems very quick if they don't get that under wraps a little bit, So
well, I think isn't this Richardson's? I thought I read somewhere this is his fourth team in 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, because he was with the Jets, got traded to the Seahawks
and then
for the end of a season.
Yeah.
Played one season with the Seahawks,
yep,
and then came to us, and then
now he's going to Browns.
Yep. So pretty much, yeah. So he, so I knew we weren't going to be able to afford him, especially now that we signed Barr. But going to free agent guards. Free agent guards are gone pretty much. Saffold. From the Rams, he went to the Titans. 4 years, only $44 million though, only $11 million. I was like, we could have afforded that if we, once again we took Barr.
Yeah,
that's the difference. Is obviously they decided Barr was better than Saffold for them. Mark Gostkowski, he stayed with the Colts, and my stupid computer is acting really slow and dumb, so it won't let me scroll down to see the other ones. So I know there is a couple other free agents that have signed, and there's a couple of second and maybe high third tier guards that we might be able to have a shot at, but we'll have to see what happens in the future. They got a clear room. Speaking of other signings, we picked we tendered Rashard Hill for $2 million, and then Harris for just over $3 million. Those two together kind of took out the what we were saving from Sendejo. That was basically Sendejo's money.
Yep.
And then we brought back Shamar Stephen. I don't mind him as a role player. If he's going to start every game, I'd like to get Tom Johnson back and have them rotate.
See,
I'd be okay with that.
I'm not sure I remember Shamar Stephen.
He was okay. He was solid for us. Let me see. In 2016, he had 39 combined tackles.
Okay.
22 assisted ones. Last year, or 2017, he had 28-19. But with Seattle, he had 25-14. Okay. So it was his worst year out of the three. Obviously, we drafted him. We liked him. So the opportunity for him to come back was there. Whether or not he should have got $4 million a year, that seems a little spendy for me. Yeah. For a guy that, unless they expect him to step up to be a full-time starter, but
maybe, but
I need to see something.
I was just going to say we need to see a little more than we have.
Yeah, no, for sure. And So we got that. Let's see, who else did we lose? We lost. We talked Richardson.
We lost
Murray, which obviously we knew that was going to happen. I was surprised where he landed. I went to guess the Saints.
I never would have thought the Saints either. They must really want to push Ingram out of there.
Oh yeah, Ingram's gone. Ingram's far gone.
I wonder if they were just fed up with some of the stuff. I mean, because I know he started the season last year with the 4-game suspension, and I think he's run into that twice now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I suppose if it's a third, because
I think he was kind of mad.
Well, I know
when he wasn't the main back.
Yeah, because and I mean, when you have an explosive back like Kamara, I mean, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to, you're gonna either the best. He really kind of did have the best of both worlds because it's like, dude, you shared snaps. Yeah. Most teams you would have been a backup. To Kamara.
Yeah, so he was. So that was interesting to see Murray go there. It's just trying to break down what the Vikings need or what the Vikings have left. Let's see. Let me find. They've got. They can't officially sign Barr until they free up space because they only have a little over $8 million in free agency space or cap space right now. So obviously they're talking about Griffin. They've brought Griffin. They offered him a restructure, and if he doesn't take the restructure, they're releasing him.
Oh, they are going to release. Yep. Okay.
So if they release him, that'll save us over $10 million.
Okay.
So that'll be 10. That'll be $18 million minus the 13.5. So we're at $5 million, a little over $5 million. Now we'll still need to do something more because it's going to cost about $7 million for our draft picks, and that's if we don't want to sign anybody else. So there's got to be something else coming. I still think Rudolph has got to have some kind of a restructure deal. And one thing I want to see them doing that I've seen other teams do so far that I haven't seen is going up to them and going up to somebody and saying, let's see. Xavier Rhodes is making $13 million this year. Go up to him and take $8 million of that $13 million and turn it into a signing bonus this year instead of his regular number, and that'll give us $8 million in cap space. So I've seen other teams do that, freeing up that, and we have not done that yet. So hopefully we're behind the scenes doing something with either Rhodes or maybe Reef or Harrison Smith. Linval Joseph, all these guys that are making well over $10 million a year, restructure it so it's more of a bonus.
Okay,
that is going to be our best guess without losing players. And I don't think a lot of people think that we'll get rid of a cornerback, and the only cornerback we could really get rid of is Trey Wayans.
That's what I was actually going to ask you if you had heard, because I know the last time Brett and I were on here talking to you about we were trying to figure out the Wayans if he was still. If he still had a year left on his contract or where he was at, and we got it figured out. But then, we had thought that he might not be around either.
And because with Rhodes, he's making $13 million, but he'll be a $17 or $7 million cap hit. So we'll only free up about $6 million if we trade him or do anything with that. And so I don't think he is. But Trey Wayans is making $9 million, and that is 100% write-offable. So if we got rid of him, that would save us $9 million right there. I don't know what to think about that. We talked about it a little bit last week. I really like Wayans. I like how he's gotten better.
He's definitely
every year.
Yep.
And I feel Rhodes has plateaued and maybe dipped a little bit.
And Rhodes makes me nervous because let's be honest. I mean, he has been a little bit injury prone the last few years.
Yeah, a little.
It's the nagging stuff. Yeah, exactly. So
people make fun of him because they think he's over exaggerating.
Right. But
I don't like to go at that because you don't know what pain they're feeling.
Exactly.
And stuff like
that's just
everybody's different threshold.
Yep.
They're like, no, he got beat deep, so he pulls up like he's limping.
Yeah. But I like the fact that, like you said, Wayans has done. I mean, he's improved, and I mean, he really what a great cornerback to have if we have to use him on the fly if Barr is out for a few snaps or something. I mean, it just because that's what teams will focus on if somebody like a Rhodes got hurt. They're going to go, that's okay. They're going to put in their secondary cornerback. Let's light them up.
I could see a corner going because we are so deep at it. Because, you got Rhodes, you got Waynes, you got Hughes coming back, you got Alexander, you got Holton Hill.
Oh, geez, yeah, we do have quite a few.
Who started several games for us last year.
That's right.
And then you've got, even at the safety position, even with Harris, even getting rid of Sandejo, you got obviously Harrison and Harris. And then you got Curse as a guy too.
Yep.
So that's 8 defensive backs right there. And, I mean, we could roll into the season with that because that's great depth. I mean, especially since you talked about Rhodes maybe being a little more injury-prone. You don't know how Hughes is going to come back yet. It's people – this isn't 15 years ago where people coming back from ACLs were questionable. The technology and working out and just rehabbing has changed so much for that. So he should come back fine.
You would think, yeah.
So, but that, again, that's 5 deep. Could a guy that we had start several games last year be our 5th cornerback? It's
dicey, but I'm.
So do we drop Waynes? Do we drop Waynes and we start Hughes and Rhodes, and then have Alexander in the slot, and then Holton as the 4th version, and he steps in for maybe Hughes on the outside? Because I think Hughes is supposed to be more of a corner or a slot, or a little better slot.
I mean, it's very doable. It would just, I mean, I think that's another one of those we haven't seen it, So it's all we'd kind of have to need to but Zimmer's going to draft a cornerback too. Well, and that's just it. Is anything, no matter what. That's the one thing on the defensive side. I'm never really worried because I know. I mean, Zim is going to go for what he wants. I mean, he's going to. He knows enough of the background and that stuff, and I don't see him letting it slide. Like, I mean, like if he doesn't, if somebody we were to let like Wayans go or something, I could see where it's like, you know what, I'm going to trust him. Yeah. He has a plan, and so far, I mean, his plans have worked out decently. Unfortunately, not to a Super Bowl yet, but I mean, but defensive wise, I mean, it's like watching the Vikings of old, like when I was a kid. I mean, the defenses, they're swarming. I mean, and this last year was that little hiccup, but I mean.
It was, and we dropped a little bit, but it wasn't like we dropped out of the top 10 or necessarily even the top 5-ish, And another reason why I don't think they would really necessarily get Wayne, which is another thing that confused me, is if they didn't want Waynes, they wouldn't have picked up his option.
And that makes sense.
They didn't have to. They didn't have to pick him up. And so we'll see what happens here. Once again, I commented that at the beginning of the show, any breaking news that happens, we'll step in and we'll do a quick little 5 to 10 minute talk about it. 5 minutes talk about it.
And I'm sure we're not done seeing anything
I hope so.
yet.
I hope so, because I mean we need to. The reasons we will most likely have to come in and do a quick show will be that Griffin was released, or one of those cornerbacks we're gotten rid of. Were traded or released also. Those, I think, are the 2 ways that we are going to break in with a short show to talk about later in the week, if that happens, because those, I think, are really the main 2 options.
And I was going to bring up, too, with Griffin, I had noticed somebody posted on your Facebook fan page about trying, what would the concept be of maybe trying to trade him off? I mean, would there be any way... Because I know some people were going a little outlandish, thinking that they get like a first-round pick for Griffin. And it's like, no,
you won't get a first-round pick.
I was like, I mean, I love the guy, but it's like you're coming off of a season where he had like a mental breakdown.
Yeah, and he would maybe get maybe like a third.
And I was thinking 3 was about
4th.
as high.
I mean, one thing here, while we won't get the 3rd compensatory pick because of Barr coming back with us, but with Richardson, we should get a 3rd round compensatory pick next year probably.
Okay.
So that will be nice. And we would have went for Barr too, but obviously he decided to stay. Let's see, with Griffin, for trading wise, give me a second. So,
and the only reason I was asking about that is because I know that we have talked a little bit about this draft class, and that offensive line wise, it doesn't sound like it's too solid.
The guard position isn't deep.
Okay.
The tackle position is deep.
Okay.
And there's several tackles with first round talent that people say would be better guards in the NFL.
Okay.
So I think that's where we'd go. In worst case scenario, if we just take a tackle, I know they keep talking about moving Reef into a guard position. They are still talking with Easton, trying to sign Easton. Mm-hmm. So there's a good chance that our offensive line starting game 1 will be rookie left tackle, Elfline in the middle, O'Neal on the right tackle, and then I would assume Reef would probably move into left guard, and then Easton maybe right guard. Okay. If I was a betting man, that's probably what I'd end up betting for the chance of our starting lineup offensive lineup at the beginning. Okay, so here I got. Okay, so the trading. Okay, releasing him or trading him has the exact same effect.
Okay.
There is no difference between the trade. He'll be 1.2 million dead, 10.5 million freed up for Griffin, whether we trade him or not. And
Well, so there's something there. They may have something going on behind the scenes with that then too. You never know.
yeah, we'll have to see. And I wanted to touch base a little bit on some of the surrounding or some of our competition in our division. The Lions went on a spending spree.
Yeah.
And went crazy. Basically, Patricia grabbing up a whole bunch of ex-Patriots technically, and he picked Danny Amendola. He picked up. Obviously, he came from Miami now, but
he was
was with the Patriots when he was there. Then they took Justin Coleman, who came from Seattle, and also
Flower.
and he was actually an undrafted rookie in our camp.
Who was this?
Justin Coleman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was actually in the Vikings camp a few years ago as a free agent, and we let him go, and now he got the richest contract for a slot corner.
Of course.
So you hit some, you miss some, but the big one was Trey Flowers.
Okay, I was just gonna say. I was like, didn't we talk about that earlier?
Yep,
The Flowers
defensive end Trey Flowers, and also tight end Jesse James from Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was their 4 big hits there. So, I mean, they took on their offense, they gave a couple new weapons for Stafford, and then they've got somebody to cover and somebody to rush on the defense. So they made some good changes there, if you ask me. And the Packers made a few moves today. They picked up Billy Turner, offensive lineman. I don't know how good he is or not. Sounds like he's pretty versatile. He can play any position, every position but center. They picked up outside linebacker Zadarius Smith from Baltimore. Baltimore losing 3 linebackers. Mosley.
Oh, yeah, Mosley, that's right.
And Suggs. Because Suggs
Suggs
went to Arizona for 1 year.
I didn't catch that.
So, they're devastated. But, he signed a 4-year, $66 million. I've never even heard of this guy. Coming off I don't see any lack of proven long-term production. He was a part-time starter who had 5.5 sacks as a rookie, but 4.5 only the next 2 seasons. So he's a little down. But then they also picked off Bear, Adrian Amos, the safety, signed with him also. Preston Smith from Washington. That was a 4-year, $52 million deal. So that's another linebacker. So you can see where they're trying to get better at defense because once you know who they're finally realizing that, hey, maybe we need a defense with Rodgers on offense, and they've got one guy to protect them and the rest to rush on the defense. So they're moving a lot. The Bears haven't done a lot. They did a little restructure this morning, like the one I mentioned where they turned it into a signing bonus instead of their regular, and they did that. I can't remember who they did that with, but they did that with somebody and freed up some space also. So, the rest of the division is moving, I feel, a lot more than we are.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Just kind of like, but it isn't all done in one day either.
Exactly. And we still got the draft. If we nail our first couple of picks in the draft, could, and if they don't, make a huge difference.
Yep.
So it's definitely going to be fun to see what the rest of free agency and the draft coming up here. I just wanted to touch on maybe a few other NFL signings that were kind of not necessarily surprising, but just ones to talk about. Of course, Foles going to Jacksonville. They gave him a crap load of money, and I'll be not the first, but I'll be one of the many to say stupid mistake by Jacksonville. Foles is the poster boy for system quarterback, I feel.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because he looked decent in Philly. He left, looked horrible, came back, looked really good again for the Super Bowl year. Last year he was okay.
Yeah.
He was just okay. Then he goes to Jacksonville And I don't know. I don't see the talent around them in Jacksonville. Better running back, but
was Foles with the Rams at one point too?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it was a weird thing. Like, wasn't the Rams and Eagles traded, and then they traded him back or something like that?
Yeah, that was. Shoot, how'd that go again?
I don't quite remember, but I remember something that was weird because it was like they flip flopped and then they went back, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But
yeah, I'd like to use my computer, but it's stupid.
Man, the Steelers are going to have a whole new landscape over there.
The Jets. It sounds like the Jets are going to probably land Bell, because it sounds like they're the only ones that they're really talking to.
Okay, because Bell left, Brown went to the Raiders.
Well, and from what I've read too is that Big Ben Roethlisberger, they think that Ben basically said, yeah, either they go or I go. I would not pick Ben over those two players.
No.
Or even Brown. I wouldn't pick Ben over Brown.
No.
Ben is, I mean, don't get me wrong. Ben brought him Super Bowls, and he'll go down as a very talented quarterback, but he's nowhere near what he was.
Oh yeah, no, not anymore.
Anywhere near it. So it'll be, yeah. That's just some of the other big signings. Like I said, I mentioned a couple others. C.J. Mosley to the Jets. There's a couple other smaller ones, but a lot of moving. Not much for fantasy. Oh, I almost Frank Gore got signed to Buffalo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1-year deal for Gore to Buffalo. Funches, like I said, to the Colts for you fantasy football guys out there that might be affected for that. It'll be interesting. It's been a fun free agency already. Once again, I don't know if there's anything else we want to kind of touch on else. I think we've
probably covered just about everything
up to this point.
We can, yeah.
I think we've got pretty much everything nailed. So, I think we'll call her done right now. Well, please thumbs up if you like it, share for your friends to listen, and check back during the week to see if we come on with any new Viking news that hops on, and we'll come in and we'll talk. Please hit subscribe so when we do come with new episodes, you'll get that subscription, especially on your cell phone. Hit that bell, give you that push notification knowing that a new show dropped. So we'll maybe talk to you this week about some more future Viking stuff. If we don't, we'll see you next week where we'll talk Minnesota Wild. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll talk the Twins season preview with Tim Meyering and Dan Shell again, and we'll be giving away. We'll be announcing how you can win those Twins tickets to the Budweiser Roof Deck for the April 14th game against the Tigers. So I want to thank you, Jeremy, for joining me. And
no problem. Fun as always, man.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some big news later on the week where we can get together and do another quick little show. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.